Teresa, you're going to be doing a teaching today, a micro teaching today. What are you teaching today?
Going to talk about 9 questions to ask yourself in order to develop an effective chapter.
So if you develop an effective chapter, you're going to develop an effective book, right? Not just a chapter. You have to develop multiple effective chapters.
Yes.
So Teresa's going to launch into micro lesson here for 10 minutes, 15 minutes or so. And let's make sure we got all this ready to go. And then we'll open up for live Q&A. Are you guys ready? Did everybody write that down? September 6th and 7th, right? Don't show up. I mean, show up here, but don't show up on Zoom because nobody's going to be there. You'll be all by yourself. Okay. Have fun.
Okay, awesome. So each one of you guys are in the thick of your chapter writing right now. Woohoo! And so last week we talked about the 7 basic parts of an effective chapter, making each chapter a masterpiece. We write our book 1 chapter at a time, right? And it's really good to focus on each chapter and making each chapter a standalone message. If you do that, you will be sure to create a path, a logical progression for your reader to get from your introduction all the way to your conclusion. Remember, you started with an expected outcome for your reader. You know that end point that you want to get them to. And so in order for that to happen, your chapters have to build on each other. And it's important that each chapter is cohesive and really makes the point very well that chapter is supposed to accomplish for your reader while they're on that journey to that expected end. So last week we went over those 7 basic parts as a review. And again, they are your title and focus, your introduction, your storytelling, your teaching, your conclusion, your activation, and then the organizational elements that you're going to want to use within your chapter that will increase readability so that the reading experience will be enjoyable for your reader. Okay. And so today, again, we want to talk about 9 questions to ask yourself in order to develop an effective chapter. All right. So you may say, my book isn't really a teaching type of book. Okay. I think a lot of us may say that in our writing. You may think I'm just telling my story, or I just want to help people to understand this concept, or I just want to help people to get free in this area, or I just want it to be, just devotional and really just drawing people to God. Or maybe my book is about starting a small business and it doesn't seem, teachy, Christian-y, teachy at all. But the truth is that every chapter in your book is going to have a main point, right? That you're trying to communicate. So therefore, whether or not you see yourself as a teacher, you are. You're teaching a truth, a concept, an idea, a main point in each chapter. So you want to do that well. No matter your genre, each chapter answers the question for your reader what the main point is in this chapter and why is it important to them. So teaching is the experience that you provide to your reader to help them learn your point of the chapter. And that will encompass all of those 7 parts that we talked about last week. Good teaching involves multiple aspects. For example, teaching is not just telling, right? Wouldn't that be great if we could just hear it one time and that was it? We just had it and it was like embedded, it was written on the table of our heart and we're going to walk it out. But that's not really how teaching works. Teaching is telling, showing, explaining, illustrating, giving stories, corroborating the truth with other people's stories or evidence or quotes or statistics, asking questions, extending the new knowledge for your reader into other areas of their life and giving them opportunities to activate and apply the new information. All of those things are a part of teaching. Okay. So here are 9 questions that you can ask yourself while you're developing the teaching within your chapter. Number 1, what is the main idea of this chapter that I want my reader to understand? Now, if you have these questions, before you at the forefront while you're creating your chapter, these are your checkpoints throughout your writing, and certainly when you finish with that chapter, you're going to have an effective chapter, right? If you know what the main point is, and it doesn't mean that you can't tell things like outside of that main idea, but everything's going to be corroborating that main idea. Everything's going to be supporting that main idea in some way. Okay, so what is the main idea that I want my reader to understand when they finish this chapter? Number 2, why is it important for them to understand it? Right? This isn't just an info dump. It is important to my reader to get this information. Why? How is their life going to be different after they get this information? What is missing in their life right now that makes it necessary for me to give them this information? Why is it important for them to understand this? If you have that in your heart from the onset, it will help you to develop a chapter that is very well-rounded and hits all the main points for your reader. Number 3, what problems come from not learning this? Okay, look at it from that angle. How will my reader have problems if they don't get what I'm trying to get them to understand in this chapter? Number 4, what benefits will come from learning this? Number 5, this one is really impactful. How did I learn this? How did I learn this? If you ask yourself that question while you're developing the teaching and the main parts, those 7 main parts of your chapter, how did I learn this? That will really help you to communicate it to your reader, right? You'll be able to kind of lead them along that same aha journey that you went on. Okay, number 6, what scriptures talk about this? What scriptures talk about this? Number 7, what illustrations, examples, statistics, quotes, or stories support this? It's just another layer of, what's the word? Making it more substantiated. Okay, when you can share a statistic or a quote or a story that illustrates it. Number 8, how will my reader apply this to their own life? Okay, so this is extending it a little bit more. So you present all the information and then you help them to begin to open it up a little bit and see how it can apply to their own life, in their family, at their job, the next time they face this kind of situation, or this turn this corner in their life, or apply it to something that they've been through in the past. Okay, and then lastly, number 9, how do I want my reader to feel after they've received this information? Now, why is this important? Sometimes, well, the Bible says, speak the truth in love, right? So we don't just want to speak the truth, we want to speak the truth in love. So the way that we communicate it, how we communicate it, the hope that we communicate it with is very important. So I want to present the main idea of my chapter in a way that makes my reader feel empowered. All right, so after you've gotten it all out of your heart and you're going back through your chapter, to refine it, Think about the impact of the message on your reader's heart. Did you present that information in a way that they're going to feel empowered or overwhelmed? Will they feel hopeful or will they feel condemned? Will they feel excited about this new truth? Will they feel confused, uninspired, or overwhelmed again? We don't want that. So you want to be able to give them the information with some tools, right, that will help them to activate that information. That's why it's really important to at least end your chapter with a prayer. If your chapters are very short, I don't know. I think all of you guys have structured your chapters so that there's some kind of activation at the end. I know in the Messenger Life, we had so many chapters and they were kind of, pretty succinct. They were like 1,500, 2,000 word chapters. And so I put a big activation at the end of each part where I summarized the main points from the chapters in that part. I provided some questions to extend what they learned and a prayer activation as well. So I did a big activation at the end of the parts because I felt like it would be a little bit of overkill to put an activation at the end of 24 chapters. All right. So that's just what I chose to do. But even with 24 chapters or like a devotional that will have many chapters, a short prayer is not too much, just a few sentences for them to take everything that you gave them and then roll all of it on the Lord in prayer and say, Lord, I say yes. Now, please help me with this. Help me to implement this truth into my life. Just simple and sweet, so that they don't walk away feeling like, I need to forgive. How do I forgive? But you actually give them a prayer or an activation or a journal prompt that will help them to take those steps of forgiveness, for example. All right. So that is all I had. Just wanted to share that with you guys while you are developing your amazing chapters. And now we're going to open up for Q&A.